By the way, welcome in CP, the Fanchise, the
up,
face
CP?
of Nick fandom. How are you, man? CP is someone you can watch after every Nick loss and Nick win on YouTube. He's got. How long have you been doing Nick Fan TV now?
Hold on, as long as Paulie turns on his mic for once.
Yeah, Paul, can you turn the man's microphone on?
It's on.
Don't yell at me. Gee, show respect.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Check one, check two.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
How many years have you been doing Nick Fan TV?
8 years.
8 years?
2 years full time.
Look at you, man.
Yeah, 2 years full time.
All right, what was I about to ask him? I was about to ask him something very. Oh, how are you? You doing
I'm
well?
doing well. You know, the trains are running a little bit delayed, but I'm here, man.
Here's the way I look at the trains. No one pushed you onto the track, so it's a win, right?
Yeah.
That's the bar?
Yes. That's how I look at my train rides. I survived. I got to the next location.
Jeez.
By the way, real quick, before we get to the Knicks, the NBA, I want to reveal my brilliant NBA idea to CP that Sean and Loogie thinks is crazy. But we have an SNY fan choice poll. It's sponsored by Dunkin', the official coffee of Evan and Tiki. Which team will Vladimir Guerrero Jr. be on next season? Will it be the Mets, the Yankees, the Red Sox, or other? You can cast your vote at sny.tv/vote. First of all,
Yeah.
The All-Star game sucked. We're all in agreement on that?
It was terrible.
Yeah. What was your least favorite part of it?
Jalen Brunson getting 8 minutes.
That was it.
8 minutes for the starting point guard of the Eastern Conference All-Stars.
That was a little disrespectful.
What are we doing? What was the point of all the hype? You got to vote today, and today's votes are worth 3 times as much. All Knicks fans getting on me. CP, you got to promote the voting. The voting. And he gets 8 minutes in the game.
You're right. But look at the bright side. Like, there is risk of injury, so there's a less risk of injury.
Right.
And you know about the Fibs minutes police. Less minutes for the All-Star game.
Right.
So that's good. That's a positive.
Listen, man, as Tommy says, Jalen Brunson is a dog. He's the captain.
Nah, he
can handle it.
He is
You know?
tremendous.
Yeah.
I look at it this way. I watch a ton of regular season games. I don't mind the All-Star break being my vacation. Like, I don't need the All-Star game to be amazing, but yet everyone talks about how to make it better. My attitude is there really isn't any way to make it better. We're able to watch every star. We're able to watch every team. I don't know personally if there's really any way to make All-Star weekend what it was when we were kids.
Well, the first thing you do is get rid of all the entertainment that they fluffed into.
You didn't like
TNT.
Kevin Hart making jokes in the middle of the game?
That was doomed from its inception. When I heard they were bringing on Kevin Hart to MC this thing, I said, oh, they're going way over the top. They wedge in the Mr. Beast thing. They wedge in the tribute to TNT. We didn't need any of it.
Sorry, when you said Mr. Beast, my son's like,
I'm
what's
sorry,
wrong
little
with
man. I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Beast?
My son loves Little Beast too, Mr. Beast too. When he saw me lit up.
That's rejected, yes.
That's when our kids actually watched the game.
Correct,
So
correct.
it helps serve that purpose. But every time they cut to the break and they went to these little intermissions, you forgot about all the basketball that you saw previously. So you missed out on the whole thing. Secondly, all the players have mailed it in. LeBron sent the message.
Yep.
Stephen Curry in his own backyard didn't do any three-point contest. He sent Draymond Green out there to brick it up. And Moses Moody for the skills challenge, right? Super skilled. The Joker says nobody's going to play hard. I'm just focused on the championship. This is a guy who's going for his 4th MVP, who they've been trying to build the league around. They can't build the league around him. He doesn't care. Anthony Edwards skipped the game. That's a troubling sign, man.
Do you think if they did something with the Joker like hockey's tried to do where it's more international versus the U.S. stars that might get them to care at all?
Absolutely. Because country pride is a big deal for these guys, for a lot of these guys. You know, just like the World Cup, just like the Olympics.
Yeah, the only thing, the reason why I don't even think that would work is because I think people have pride playing for their individual country.
Right.
If you took all the international players and said you're in a group called the world,
No,
do they really have pride in that?
No, not a USA versus the world format. But if they had time to do like what the NHL did with the 4 nations, which is a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
I mean, USA versus Canada, they dropped the gloves. You had the tariff brawl in the opening. I mean, that was amazing. That was amazing. But with the NBA, I think it might be the ship might have sailed.
I want to give you an idea I've had for many, many years, and I think it makes sense. And it comes from a place where I love the sports. I'm not one of those casuals who are like, oh, you should change the league like this. Sean thinks it's the worst idea ever. Tommy thinks it's the worst idea ever. I trust you.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
So I want to give it to you. And it's not that original. Maybe you've heard it before. I'm sure people have thought about this. And that is when the NBA playoffs start, we go 1 through 16. And we scrap the conferences because I don't think the rivalry between East and West exists at all other than Lakers Celtics from a million years ago. And I like the idea of your team, the New York Knicks, who they're title contenders, possibly playing the Celtics in an NBA Finals. Or even playing the Thunder earlier than an NBA Finals. I think that the rivalries kind of Like, I like the idea of a rival playing for a championship. And I think with travel these days, it's not as bad because that would always be an issue. Well, how could the Knicks play the Lakers in the first round? There's a lot of travel. Shut up. They're on first-class airplanes. It's not a big deal. I love the idea of 1 through 16, put it in a bracket, and let's go. What are your thoughts on that?
It'd be interesting. Because, as you said, there are no rivalries anymore, right? The Knicks versus Celtics rivalry, there isn't anymore. Knicks versus Hawks is more fan-fabricated. Pacers, Knicks versus Pacers. Yeah, you have the Halliburton, Brunson stuff, but it's really not, you don't have those battles anymore that you used to back in the days. I think there'd be an interesting twist. But I think overall the playoffs are entertaining. You have the play-in tournament that's been pretty entertaining over the last couple of years. You saw teams like the Miami Heat, the Los Angeles Lakers make it all the way to the conference finals, and in the Heat case, they made it to the finals out of the play-in tournament. You have guys like, the Detroit Pistons headed for their first playoffs in a long time. You got to give J.B. Bickerstaff and those guys a lot of credit. And so, yeah, if you mix it up 1 through 16, just the 16 best, I think it would be a little bit interesting there just to switch it up. I do think the travel and logistics could get in the way, though.
What would drive me nuts about that, though, is, all right, Knicks make the playoffs, and they're playing the Phoenix Suns. Playing games on a Wednesday night for a Knicks fan where the game's not going to tip till 9, 10 o'clock in April is a disgrace, though. How would you balance that?
You're going to watch it.
That's true.
That's how you balance it.
So
You'll stay up late to watch it. What do you think?
Station will take a million calls about what a disgrace it is. A Knicks playoff game's not tipping off till 10 o'clock at night.
You're right.
It's not ideal, but I just think, and I've thought this way in hockey too, like the conferences just don't mean anything. Like, they just don't. I mean, think about it. In a couple of years, we're probably going to have realignment with a team like the New Orleans Pelicans or the Memphis Grizzlies coming to the Eastern Conference, right?
Yeah,
it's logically going to happen, and I just don't think it matters because I don't think there's really a difference between East and West. And to your point, like, it's not fixing anything because the NBA playoffs are awesome. I don't think it needs fixing the way the All-Star game does. I just think it's a better idea. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, I need to do it. I think this would just be preferred, in my opinion.
I do think the one-on-one challenge in the All-Star game would add to the hype of the playoffs. If you tack on the storylines. Think about this. You have Jalen Brunson versus Trae Young, one-on-one.
Oh, it'd be tremendous.
Set the storyline. And look, the NBA is going to do NBC for the All-Star game, right? Yep. You have NBC also has the rights to Saturday night main event. Call up Triple H, bring him into the mix, and let them hype this thing up. It would be box office.
The one-on-one, we talked about this briefly yesterday because I remember as a kid the Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal one-on-one matchup that was set, and then it got canceled because Hakeem got hurt, and it was supposed to be on pay-per-view. I don't know if the players would try hard or compete, but the idea, and you laid out a great scenario, Jalen Brunson versus Trae Young, let's go. Like, that's on. I want Mikal Bridges against Cam Johnson. I root for that clown, that fraud Cam Johnson for about 5 minutes.
You didn't like Cam in the three-point contest?
What a disgrace.
He was so quick, you missed him.
What a disgrace. You know what the problem with Cam Johnson is? Because I'm curious how you felt, because it's not that many years removed from you dealing with this. Cam Johnson said that any Net fan who roots against the team because of the tank, they're not real fans. And this is something personal to all of us. You are a Giants fan.
Yes.
I don't know how you felt at the end of the season, but plenty of Giant fans were rooting for losses.
Absolutely.
I remember the Knicks in 2019, the Zion Williamson year.
Yeah.
There were many Knicks fans saying, hey, we got to improve our lottery odds, even though the lottery gods seem to hate you guys very much. Yeah. Like, being a fan means rooting for the best interest of your team. Sure. And you're a great fan. Were you rooting against the Knicks in 19, or were you not in your blood?
Was that the Maurice Zion
year?
Yeah, absolutely. Tank it to the bottom, because I thought, like most delusional Knicks fans, that we were going to get KD, Kyrie, and then get the number 1 pick in Zion, and then be walking down the Canyon of Heroes right after that.
Right.
But the basketball gods did save us on all 3 of those fronts. And they gave them to you. They bestowed all the bad juju on the Brooklyn Nets and the Brooklyn Brigade, your people. So I was happy about that. Fantastic.
Yeah. It's amazing to think about your guys' turnaround.
Yes.
Like, when you think back to, when did you know? Forget about being competitive, because you guys were competitive in 2021. You got the 4 seed. You're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
When did you know, holy crap, this has really changed for us, and we're going to be contenders every year? Was it Brunson's early stages? Was it before that? When was it?
It was Brunson's early stages, and it goes back to his playoff run with the Mavs when Luka Doncic was out with, I think it was a calf injury.
That's right, and he played well.
And he goes up against a Spider, and he torches Utah. And the rumors were they were rumblings in the earlier beginnings of the season, and that, Knicks are going to go after Jalen Brunson. They did sign his father, Rick Brunson. And I was thinking, all right, good point guard. He'll settle things down. It'll be a reliable option to play off of Julius Randle, to be a sidekick to Julius Randle. Then he appears on that playoff stage, and he goes ballistic. And I said, okay, we might have something. And since then, he's just proven it. all the way into the Eastern Conference All-Star starter. Man.
He's been
amazing.
incredible. He's been incredible.
All 8 minutes, CP. All 8 minutes.
Yeah, all of the 8 minutes.
Not his fault.
Yeah.
36-18. I want everybody to put that in their head for a second. The New York Knicks are 36-18. That means they've won double the amount of games they've lost. Yeah. Are you happy right now as a Knicks fan?
Yes.
You're pleased with what you've seen in the first half?
Yes.
You would grade this first half A+, A-, B? Where are you?
I'll put it at a B+ right now. B+. They're playing well. It's a brand new team. And if you factor all that into consideration, put into consideration that both Brunson and Towns starting on the All-Star team, both of those guys on the MVP ladder, what Karl-Anthony Towns has done to transform this Knicks offense, they've been electric, number 2 offense in the league. Yet and still, they need to get their defense together, and they need to get healthy. So with knowing that, what they've been able to accomplish so far, being locked in to the 3rd seed right now in the East, I think it's a tremendous accomplishment, given the lack of depth and the injuries that they've sustained throughout the season.
Now, you mentioned the MVP ladder. I was having this conversation, I think, with Tommy off air. The MVP ladder right now has Karl-Anthony Towns 3rd. I think it's SGA and Nikola Jokic ahead of him, which totally fair. I think SGA is the MVP of the league. I know Jokic is the favorite. My opinion, SGA. But Karl-Anthony Towns is 3rd, and Jalen Brunson was something like 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
You watch every single second of the New York Knicks. I try to be independent about it. And in my mind, the MVP of the New York Knicks is Jalen Brunson. I don't care what the numbers tell me. I don't care where Cat is on the MVP ladder. And that's not me ripping him. That's just an honest opinion that, boy, you took Jalen away from the Knicks. Completely different. Do you agree with that assessment? Do you disagree with the MVP ladder?
I have to put Towns up there.
Really?
We still have to respect Towns because I believe that the reason that these guys are number 2 in offense right now, a lot of it is Karl-Anthony Towns. Number 1, what he's done to their three-point efficiency, just being an outside shooting big. The spacing and the gravity of Karl-Anthony Towns. The Knicks have now improved as a cutting team. Their off-ball movement is at levels that we've never seen prior to Karl-Anthony Towns coming here. He's literally transformed the offense the way that OG Anunoby transformed the defense. I mentioned OG Anunoby, his cutting, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges. When he opens that court up, all these other guys thrive off of Karl-Anthony Towns' gravity and the attention that you have to spend with him. Jalen Brunson has been incredible. And if you look at it, his clutch numbers are moving up the charts.
Yes.
That's why he does deserve to be in that MVP conversation.
I have an issue with you.
Right. Yeah.
I listen to you.
Yeah.
I watch you every day. Sure. Not every day. Because when you guys win easily, I don't want to watch you. But I was listening to you about 4 or 5 days ago, and you had a debate with, and please give me his name because I forget, and I don't want to disrespect the guy.
Alex? Or
yes, Alex.
Okay, Alex. Sorry.
Alex and you had a very interesting debate. I was actually on Alex's side.
Okay.
In which, late in the Atlanta game, Cat didn't exist.
Yes.
They weren't feeding the big man. And I actually thought the same thing. I was like, you know what? Karl-Anthony Towns can't be stopped at times. Yeah. Why does he disappear in this moment in the 4th quarter? And you disagreed with him, and you're like, hey, dude, Jalen's the captain. Yeah. I want the ball in Jalen's hands. Yeah. Okay. If you believe that, how the hell can you say Cat's the MVP? You just admitted in the 4th quarter of that game, screw Cat. Get Jalen the ball.
I'm freezing him out because Captain Clutch Jalen Brunson is still a better decision maker and a more clutch player. That's what I'm going to say.
Then he's the MVP.
He's right up there on the ladder.
I put him ahead of Cat. In the 4th quarter, you're ready to throw him to the wolves. Like, listen, I don't need him anymore.
I still think that Karl-Anthony Towns,
I got you on this one.
Even without him in the lineups, they still struggle. They struggle a lot to score, even when Brunson is in there. That's what I mean by Karl-Anthony Towns.
Look, they need both. They clearly need both guys, obviously. Yes. But to me, and maybe this is like my tiebreaker on this, late in the game. Game's on the line. I want the ball in the hands of Jalen Brunson. Yeah. The guy's, like you said, he's Captain Clutch.
Yeah, I gave him that nickname. I did.
And it's a great nickname, by the way. You want to know why? Because it's true. Because you're right about it. I completely agree with you. And what's the nickname for the Cat? You call him the Big Bodega, but how about we call him the Big Disappearing Act? Am I wrong? You even said it. I don't need the ball in his hands in the 4th quarter. Get it to Jalen.
Evan, this is where I got to pack up CP.
Go ahead.
Is this any different than another sport in town with A-Rod and Jeter?
You go an A-Rod Jeter comp on Cat versus Jalen?
Think about the MVPs that A-Rod won as a Yankee, but late in the game, who would you want the bat in the hands of, Jeter or A-Rod? And who was Captain Clutch?
You buy that? You're a Yankee fan, CP. You like that comparison?
If you're talking about that World Series run, I'm going to A-Rod.
Oh, yeah.
A-Rod.
Well,
That's
no,
red hot.
yes.
Red hot.
But the point is, for a whole season and who's clutch, it's two different things.
Yeah.
I don't think, unfortunately, either guy's going to win the MVP, obviously. Yeah. I think it's SGA. You Jokic or SGA on
I'm
this
going with
year?
SGA.
Yeah,
I'm going
with
with SGA.
I'm with you. Best team, best play. I mean, just sometimes it's the default answer. Plus, I give him the victory for basically being pissed off at Kevin Hart in the middle of that All-Star game and telling him, can you speed this up a little bit?
How about that? They put Kevin Hart up there. They already have an issue. They're like, oh, ratings might be an issue. You have Kevin Hart up there destroying the league's MVP and his new shoes. So the Nike and the Converse execs must have been, thrilled with their new product being shown to the fans, and Kevin Hart just calling them mustard-colored shoes or something like that.
The best part about our discussion on Cat and Jalen Brunson is this is the world you now live in. This first world issue of comparing two guys and who's more likely the MVP.
Yeah. We've come a long way, man.
You've come a long way.
Yeah.
I've gone the other way, so I see it from a distance.
Yes.
We got more with CP, the franchise. I want to get into Mitchell Robinson and his return and the defensive issues this team has had. What are you giving me?
I came bearing gifts, man. That was also another reason why I was late. If you may, I'll just pass it over to Mr.
All right,
Roberts.
he's passing something over to me.
I got some for Loogie because I know Loogie likes to rock the beanies, man.
Oh, he's got a Knicks fan TV shirt.
This is for Loogie, man.
That's very nice.
For the stretch run. And for you, Mr. Roberts.
See, the problem is I like Knicks fan TV, but I'm not a Knicks fan. So if I put this on, am I selling out my team?
No, you're a season ticket holder.
Yeah. What do you wear when you go to these games?
Nothing. I just wear a regular shirt.
See, you're one of those people I have an issue with. I have an issue with those type of people. Show up to the games, they're just in like regular,
the button downs,
the button down, a little sweater.
It's still Mets colors.
I'm gonna go to my next Knicks game is Knicks Warriors. I want to see Steph a little bit.
There you go.
And Draymond, your buddy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wear this to the Knicks game, but it doesn't make me a Knicks fan. Correct?
No, it makes you a fan of Knicks fan TV.
That's right. That's right.
All right, I appreciate that.
Dribble. I got you next time. I didn't know you were going to be here. I got you next time.
CP, do not worry about me.
Well, I
shirt looks horrible. I'd never wear it anyway.
That's a very nice gesture. Thank you for the shirt.
And Tommy, look at what to sell out Tommy.
Yeah, Loogie's got it all, man.
Bro, I saw Chuck D wearing it at the Knick game the other night. I was like, I almost texted CP. I was like, my man, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is very cool. I did see that as well.
Yes.
Very cool. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All love.
Thank you very much for this. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Should I put it on now?
This is now getting so awkward.
That would be fantastic, man.
He's going to take his shirt off now?
He also didn't unplug his headphones first.
He did not unplug the headphones.
Now that's going to be a problem.
There we go. There you go. That looks good, man. Nice screen print. Vibrant orange. I like that color.
Yeah, you know what I like about the shirt and the way that fits? Oftentimes, Evan's shirts could be hit or miss based on his male breasts. And there's no male breastage in that shirt at all. Good fabric, CP. Good fabric.
It is dad bod friendly, man. I'm 40.
And it is Met color, so it does make me feel better.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, my man.
Yeah, sure.
I appreciate it.
All love, man.
All right. Let's get to this basketball team that you root for.
Yes.
Is Mitchell Robinson ever going to come back?
Well, his team, they do a great job with the propaganda. They sent me. He was down at Vanderbilt during the All-Star break getting some work in. He looks slim and trim. I'm hearing that it could be around March, that it could be coming back, and they're going to need him. It has been a little bit concerning, though, I will tell you.
Yeah, because the other concern I have is even if he does come back in mid-March, is he going to stay out on the floor? Because that's the biggest issue with him. Like, okay, he can come out and certainly add something to this team that they desperately need, but, can he play? Is he going to continue through April and May if the run continues?
That's what you hope, right? Because at the end of the day, they're not looking for him to start. They're not looking for him to start and log major minutes like the rest of these guys are doing. But Mitchell Robinson, you're looking for him to fill that role right now. That's kind of filled by Ariel Hukporti. Couple minutes with Karl Anthony Towns.
That's James Dolan's favorite player, Ariel Hukporti.
Yeah, he gave him the stamp of approval. But you want to see that Twin Tower lineup with Karl Anthony Towns because with Towns at the 5 right now, they are not a championship contender. They're just not.
And they will only, after Mitchell comes back, play the Sixers once, and Embiid probably won't play, so no sharpshooters.
That's right. Yeah, but you see that's basketball karma. Yeah. You see what's happening with Joel Embiid.
Oh, yeah.
That was a dirty play. He re-injured the guy.
I agree.
It was a dirty play.
He's a dirty player.
That's correct.
Like when I saw it happen.
Guys, he beat Bell's palsy. No, just calm down. Give him a little credit.
Joel Embiid has always been a dirty player. Yeah. It's been going on for a long time. So what he did against Mitchell Robinson was typical. Yeah. Now, if he's healthy, you said he's not going to start. Obviously, I agree with you. How do you think Thibs deploys him when healthy?
You can go 2 big lineups. you can go offense, defense. There may be times where you put Karl-Anthony Towns on the bench and say, hey, put Mitchell Robinson in the middle there, OG Anunoby at the 4 once he comes back. I think OG will be back soon, right after this break. And it gives the defense a much-needed boost because now you have Wingstop, which is Josh Hart, Cal Bridges, who's playing much better defense.
Yeah, he has been, absolutely.
And OG Anunoby, he's your wild card. He's your guy who's going to get super aggressive. He cheats. He goes out there. He's going to get deflections, steals, blocks. And now you have Mitchell Robinson who's going to, one, keep opposing offenders out of the paint because that's where the Knicks have gotten into trouble. Be a rim deterrent. On the offensive side, hey, if there are nights where they're off, he's one of the best offensive rebounders in the entire league when healthy. So that's what you're going to need out there to help them for this final stretch.
How do you explain when you look at Mikal Bridges and the kind of defender he's been, OG Anunoby, the kind of defender he's been, you call him Wingstop, Josh Hart too. How do you explain how bad this team has overall been defensively, especially against good teams?
They can't cover for everybody, man. And the reality is
they got 2 guys that can't defend.
That is it. The reality is they have 2 guys. You know, most teams have 1 guy who you're going to cover for. But with the Knicks, both Brunson and Towns are subpar defenders. Brunson's a smart defender, but he loses a lot of that with his physical limitations. Towns, same way. He can't move laterally. You put him in the drop coverage, mid-range, 3-pointers, you're bombing away on him, or you're blowing right past him to the goal, and there's no backline defense that can help protect the rim. So that's the big issue with those 2 guys. You know, Mikal Bridges played a lot better at the point of attack, and he's taking on Jalen Brunson's toughest assignments, the toughest guards, the point guards, the shooting guards, and so that's tough. And Tom Thibodeau said, I think against the Hawks, you know, there's no other guy who's had to navigate as many screens as Mikal Bridges has to do on game to game, whether it's Trae Young, it's Tyrese Halliburton. So I think he's gotten a lot better there. Hart, he hasn't been that great. And that's been another issue with Josh Hart. Guys have been kind of picking him apart. I'm not sure if it's the knee injury or maybe he's pacing himself for April basketball, but he's got to get a little bit better on-ball defense. But OG's the guy.
Yeah, they need him.
OG is the guy. And the tricky thing is first of all, your 2 best defenders who are going to help this team achieve their goals are their 2 injury-prone defenders.
Well, that's how things can go sour real quick.
That's how it can go sour.
I mean, we saw it last year with the health, and there's no way to ensure that you're going to be healthy. We can sit here all day talking about minute restrictions. That doesn't guarantee that these guys are going to be healthy when it matters the most.
No, and that's the debate that I have with the fans who turn into orthopedists and scientists and all of that. Like, you can't determine that. You had Precious Achiuwa, Deuce McBride, and Campaign all missing time in the preseason and missing regular season time with soft tissue injuries and things of that nature. It's hard to predict, but I do think with OG Anunoby, with his track record, I do think that they need to limit him a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, clearly. I mean, because I was looking at this right before his injury. He had played so much this season. He had played every game. You look at the minutes he had played. He had already played the 3rd most minutes in his NBA career just based on the fact that he was healthy this season and he was playing big minutes. So he was already kind of exerting himself in a way that he hasn't been used to.
Yeah. They're in a tricky spot because that's your $200 million investment. And so we'll see in March 1st if they have enough money to afford a guy like a TJ Warren. If he comes up, can he get a couple minutes a night to spell these guys? Beyond this year, I think they need to hope a guy like a Pacome Dadier can emerge in his sophomore year. He's a wing, right? So to give these guys legitimate time on the bench and be confident that your bench players can deliver. So Tibbs wants to trust these guys.
Now you mentioned the buyout market.
Yeah.
They can't sign anybody who had a salary of more than, I think, $12.5 million.
Right.
They also can't sign, let's say, if my team waived Bojan Bogdanovic and he's healthy, they also couldn't sign him because you guys traded him within a year.
Yes.
So he's not an option. So you mentioned TJ Warren. Who are the other buyout options that the Knicks could possibly pluck up?
Well, you have TJ Warren. You have a guy like Chuma Okeke, who was with the G League Westchester Knicks. He signed with Philadelphia and then was just waived. So those 2 guys, they know the system, they know the program. Those are guys who they can sign. And the reason why March 1st is a key date is because that's when the vet minimum contracts are prorated enough where they can afford these guys. They're $533,000, I think, close to that second apron. So they have to wait until March 1st to be able to get these guys. And it's kind of tricky because, this is why I hate the CBA, because you have a team like the Boston Celtics who are far and away above the second apron. They just go out and get Torrey Craig off of waivers when he gets cleared because they're going to pay the tax. They're going to pay that fine. But the Knicks were hard capped at that second apron and have to wait until March 1st.
Yeah, the new CBA is weird and confusing, to say the least. The bottom line is, and I've been saying this for a while with you guys, is that this is just your team.
Yeah. Like, this is it.
This is it. Now, next year, there are more avenues to improve this roster and improve the depth. Not that you're going to change the core of the team.
Yeah.
The core is the core, but right now, it's this. Can they win with this?
We'll have to see what happens when Mitch and OG come back.
What do you think, though?
I think they can get to the conference finals.
So you think they can beat Boston?
I think they can get there.
If you think they can beat Boston, then they can beat Cleveland. So you think they can go to the NBA Finals? That's what you're saying.
Let's go for it.
What is your
You're not saying that with confidence, though.
Yeah, I'm
looking into your eyes.
Last time I came here, we had the Brunson Tatum debate.
That's right. That's right.
So I stand by that.
So, okay, confidence or not.
Yeah.
If they get to that second round, they play the Boston Celtics, and the Knicks come up short, and it's another second-round exit, but it's the Celtics. What is your reaction?
It's a great season.
Really?
It's a great
because it's Boston?
Because look at the team.
Yeah, but you get to the same avenue you got to last year out in the second round.
But you lost to the champs. That's not something to hang at. You lost to the champs.
No, I mean, look, the reality is the Boston Celtics are the team to beat. They just are. I mean, we could sit here and talk all day about the Thunder, or the Cleveland. They got to go prove it.
Yes.
The Boston Celtics proved it last year.
Yeah.
They won an NBA championship. I don't know. The one thing I would disagree on is I don't know if I'd say it's a great season. I would say, we ran into a team that's better than us. There aren't many teams left that are better than us. They happen to be one of them.
Anything is possible in the NBA playoffs.
I agree with that. Guy gets hurt, could change everything.
I talked about Miami's run to the finals. I talked about Miami's run to the finals. I talked about Indiana's improbable run to the conference finals last year. As a 7th seed, they made it. You just never know how things can play out. Teams can get injured. You may have a better matchup. You may play better. The defense may come together with OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson and an improved bench playing better in this second half.
I think they have a puncher's chance against Boston. What scares me is could they defend enough 4 out of 7 games against lethal shooters like that and the way they've defended the perimeter? Can they do that in 4 of 7 games? And that's where it becomes almost tough to imagine that they can do that against Boston.
It's going to be tough. I mean, they got outscored by 80 points from 3 in those first 2 games. The opening night game against Boston and last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago against Boston when Jason Tatum, he had 5 Celtics in double figures. Peyton Pritchard with 22 points off the bench. He's been big for them.
Yeah, he's been great.
He's been big.
Yeah, CP, we're never going to get an honest answer out of Tommy, which is good that we have you here for that. Okay, so you call it a great season if they lose to Boston in the second round. Yeah. How many years, though, of doing this with the Knicks and losing in the second round? Is there always going to be a caveat? They ran into the Celtics, they're into this, before the fan base starts to go, this isn't good enough anymore?
No, there's going to come a time when, the rubber's going to meet the road and they're going to have to answer for it. And the first person to answer for it is going to be the coach.
Right.
But he's gotten us here 3 years in a row now. 4 out of the last 5 years. We were in the dark ages for the last 20 years. I'm enjoying this time.
No, you should.
I'm enjoying this time. We have 2 All-Stars. They have 3rd seed in the East. They're going to be back in the playoffs. Most likely they'll play either the Pistons or the Pacers in the first round. They should have a favorable matchup there to get to the second round. And for these next 28 games, it is about seeing how this team improves defensively. It's all about the defense because I know in a close game, Captain Clutch is going to deliver. He's done it 2 years in a row now, and he can do it again.
Yeah, you are in that spot where you're kind of locked in at 3. Yeah, like you're not dropping to Indiana, especially after that big win last week. You're probably not catching Boston, though it's not entirely impossible. But even if you do, you're still in that same spot where you're facing the Celtics in the second round. Yeah. So you kind of are in that spot where you got to go through Boston early. Would you rather face Boston early or Boston later in a conference finals?
Well, certainly later, when these guys are a bit worn down.
That's my thing. They've also played a lot the last 3 years.
They played a lot. Yeah. So the later, the better. But we don't dodge the smoke. We're going to be ready. They're going to have to man up. But I'm going to tell you the key. Yes, it's going to be the defense. I need your guy, Mikal Bridges, to answer the call.
My guy.
We need the guy who we traded 5 picks for. Yeah. And Josh Hart keeps saying it doesn't matter until we win the championship. Well, he's the key to them winning the championship.
I agree with that.
He's the key.
Do you regret that trade?
No.
Not at all?
He hesitated, though.
No.
Hesitated because you wonder. You wonder what other star-ish player becomes available that you could have used those assets on, especially in a world in which Luka was basically traded for the corpse of a formerly great player and 1 first-round pick.
Yeah.
I get why you question that.
There's only one other person who I wanted to trade for in the previous offseason, And that was your guy, Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
Knicks fans thought I was crazy. I said I would pack. This was before they traded Julius for Towns.
Right.
I said I would pack Julius's bags today to bring Kevin Durant in here to help us win a championship.
The problem,
I thought they could.
The problem with KD, and we see this now, is he's still a tremendous player. He can't stay healthy.
Can't stay healthy.
And that's going to be the story of the rest of his NBA career because he kind of gives me the vibe of a guy that's going to play forever.
Yes.
Like he's going to play until the wheels come off. Like I think he'll have a second tour of duty with my team. He may get a tour of duty with your team. I think he's going to bounce around the league and just keep playing.
He is.
But he's excellent. He just can't stay healthy at this point.
The reason I say I would do that trade is because they made the investment to raise the ceiling in a team that is still young.
Yeah.
All in their prime. Brunson, Hart. Now, Hart plays a game where he's going to deteriorate because of the way that he plays. He plays a physical game. Karl-Anthony Towns still fairly young. Mikal Bridges is still fairly young. Like, they can lock into this team, into this core, if they choose to keep them. Now the challenge is the tweaks around them to build on that depth. Hope that your draft picks improve. Hope that when you get the vet minimum contracts or the mid-level exception contracts that you can strike gold and really balance your roster because that's what these top-heavy teams are having challenges with right now.
Yeah, that's the challenge of the new CBA.
It's a challenge of the new CBA.
That's why, like, they have this window for a few years where Jalen's not making crazy amount of money. Obviously, Cat is, OG sort of is, but Mikal isn't. And they got to hit over the next few years. So what's their window in terms of years, in your opinion?
I'll say 3.
Yeah, I agree with that.
3 years.
It's a 3-year window.
3 years. Within that time, you may have a new coach. Maybe they go get Jay Wright to finish the job. That's everybody's thing. You know, when everybody wants,
because it makes too much sense. It
makes too much sense. Go get Jay Wright. You know, call Johnny Bryan or something like that. I mean, that may happen, right? The coach is the easiest domino to fall when you're trying to achieve your goals.
If they lose in the second round, which let's just face it, is the likeliest scenario. Doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen. It's sports, you never know. But you look at the way things are laying out, it's the likeliest scenario. Do you think we're all going to get calls for Dibs has got to go, and it's going to be basically blaming him? He can't win the big one. Look at his history in Chicago now with the Knicks. You think he's going to be the guy who gets most of the blame?
He gets most of the blame after Game 10.
He does. That's true.
Just you tune into Knicks Fan TV after every loss, right?
Yeah.
There's always somebody that's saying, this coach isn't it. He's not our guy. So there's always going to be
I'm not
those
convinced
calls.
He's the guy either, but it doesn't mean I would move on from him. You know what I mean?
You get him to the second round, you put some money in Dolan's coffers, I don't think they're going to make a change. Now, the next year puts more pressure on him.
Every year.
Every year there's more pressure.
Every year there is. It's weird. Like, he's a hell of a coach who deserves a ton of credit. He's the best coach you've had since Van Gundy. Absolutely. I mean, I like Mike Woodson. No disrespect to him. He did a nice job. But, I mean, Tom Thibodeau has surpassed him. But I do kind of wonder, can you win a championship with him? I mean, you look at his time even in Chicago. You look at his time here. Like, he's had some great regular seasons, but the questions become, can you win the big one with him? And I think that's absolutely a fair question to ask. I just don't know when you pull the trigger on something like that, when you make that kind of major change, because then you got to find someone who you think can put you over the finish line. And I'm sorry, I love Jay Wright. Are we convinced Jay Wright can do that? They did in college. He's going to do it in the NBA?
It's an incredibly, that's one of the hardest parts, including rounding out the team. But it's a valid question. Like, when you look at other coaches, like even a Mazzulla or a Spoelstra, their ability to adapt, their ability to adjust in game, and adjustments and adaptability also relies on your players. You need the players with the IQ and the ability to adapt on the fly. But those guys can change the tone of a game, and it's not really clear if Tibbs can do that. He's a very rigid coach. He has a game plan.
Yeah.
He always keeps his guys prepared, but can he switch things up in a dogfight against Boston in a 7-game series to give his team an advantage? I think that's where he's going to be questioned.
Who of these, assume you're the 3, Detroit, Orlando, could still be Milwaukee, I guess. Yeah. Which team would give you the most nerves in a first-round series?
Orlando's tough because defensively they play a physical brand of basketball.
Yeah.
They can't match the Knicks from a firepower standpoint, even though Paolo and Franz and those guys, they're going to be good. They're on the rise. They still need another scoring point guard to, I think, put them over the top. But where they can give the Knicks problems, and where they have given the Knicks problems over the last 2 years, is their ability to, one, match the Knicks in size. They can rebound well, and they play great defense under Jamal Mosby.
Yeah, they were
physical defense.
Dealing with such injuries earlier in the season, and they're sitting 2 games under 500, which is kind of surprising. All right, CP, we appreciate it, my man.
My guys.
Thank you very much.
Take care, man.
CP, the Fanchise. You can watch YouTube after Knicks wins or losses.
And a big weekend, Cavs Celtics for him.
And speaking of the Cavs, The number one watch party for the fans by the fans is back at
nice.
Slate. Yes.
Oh, good.
You guys would like to come.
All right.
When is that?
You come this Friday. This Friday at 5:30. Slate NY.
You don't want me there.
If you bring your shirt, you can come. I gave that to you as a opening act there to come to the watch party. We got a little Papa Shot, a little pool table.
Papa Shot.
Yeah, a little.
I'm a legend at Papa Shot.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this. Like I beat anybody. I know I don't look very athletic, and I'm not. But in Papa Shot, I dominate. I beat Tiki Barber. I doubled his score. We played Papa Shot. I doubled his score.
He's a football guy, though.
So by beating Tiki, he proclaims he beats anybody.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Hey,
right.
it's Tiki Barber.
He's a former professional athlete. How many former professional athletes have you beaten in Papa Shot? Yeah,
Nobody.
exactly. Nobody. Thank you. All right, CP, we appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Take care, man.